What's up, brother? My name is Taylor, and today I have a question for you about semen retention. And I'm asking you this because as a community of guys out there on the internet who are talking about this, I think it would be really wise for us to be clear on how we're talking about this and what we're actually saying when we're talking about how semen retention works physiologically and physically in our body. So I'd love it if you would leave a comment below this video letting me know what you think about these questions that I'm going to ask you, because I think they're really important to determine how we talk about this so we can be informed, so we can be saying the right shit and not sound like a bunch of new age dudes spouting off stuff that's not substantiated. So the first thing that I want to bring up is this argument that I've heard a lot and that I've even used in a couple past videos, that semen retention works because when you ejaculate, you're letting your life force energy go. And that's debatable in some ways. So for example, like a guy with a vasectomy, and I've talked to 20 guys with vasectomies over the past few months just because I want to understand their experience. They still have the refractory period that happens after they ejaculate. Their semen is not leaving through, or their sperm, is not leaving their body when they ejaculate. Their sperm is staying in. So all that energy, all of that that potential to create new life is not leaving their system. It stays in there. Yet they still experience the same drop of arousal, the same drop of erection, the same everything that the rest of us do who don't have a vasectomy. What do you think about that? It doesn't logically make sense to me. If a guy who has a vasectomy ejaculates and he still goes through the same refractory period that a guy who doesn't have a vasectomy, then that to me means it's not the sperm. It's another process. I'm reading this book right now called Cupid's Poison Arrow, and in that book it's all about orgasm and the effect and impact of orgasm on relationship. And it talks about what's going on in our brains, in our neurobiology when we do have an orgasm. And it doesn't have anything in there about orgasming without ejaculation, but it does talk about how the typical orgasm for men reduces connection, and it reduces sexual desire, and it reduces attraction for your partner, and you go through that refractory period. But it talks about it in terms of certain neurochemicals that are being released in your brain when you have that experience. In that book, they say that prolactin is released during an orgasm, and that is what's responsible for dampening the sexual response system, for dampening desire and arousal and all that stuff. And interestingly, they cite a study that shows that when a man ejaculates while he's masturbating, the levels of prolactin that are released in the brain are lower than if a man ejaculates when he's having sex with somebody. So that means our body and our system is able to tell if we have procreated, right? If we've completed our procreational duty as a biological being. Our body can tell. So the same amount of ejaculate, the same amount of sperm, the same amount of semen leaves in both of those scenarios, yet somehow when we go through that experience on our own, there's less energy loss. There's less dampening of our sexual response system. So what do you think is going on there? It can't possibly be our life force only leaving through our ejaculate. It's got to be changes happening in our brain, changes happening in our physiology too. So again, that argument of our sperm leaving our body and our life force going away, it doesn't really hold up. And again, I'm not trying to knock semen retention. Like, I love it and I still practice it and it changes everything about my life. I just want to be clear on what's actually happening. So when I talk about it, I can be informed and I'm not spouting stuff that it doesn't actually logically make sense, you know? I'd love for us as a community of dudes out there on the internet who are talking about this to evaluate how we're talking about this and make sure we're talking about it in a way that is logically accurate and factually accurate as much as it can be. You know, every video I've posted about semen retention, there's somebody who comes on there and says, oh, the cult of semen retention or the great myth of semen retention, and knocks it. And yeah, there are always going to be haters everywhere. That's just how shit works. And I do want this to reach more people, and the only way it's going to reach more people is if we're talking about it in a way that makes sense. So leave a comment below, let me know what you think. Thanks for going on this walk with me, and reach out to me with any questions you have. You can reach me on Instagram or via my website. I'll put links below, and subscribe if you want to. Talk to you next time. Cheers.